Welcome to the Beaver Playbook, your home for a deep dive into all things Buena Vista University athletics. Today's show features the conclusion of our winter sports, as well as the beginning of the spring sports. We also sit down with the owner of the BVU Barstool Twitter account to talk all things social media and athletics. All that and lots more coming up on the Beaver Playbook right after this.
Sure, it's been great having Buford around the office to help everyone out. Granted, there have been some minor issues. Like I said, he's been a great help.
Oh, hey, Jaden.
How's it going, Steven?
Oh, it's going pretty good. I'm just really hungry and really want to get to Lawas for lunch. But between all these recaps and other paperwork I have to do, I just don't know if I'm going to have time for it.
You usually get a steak burrito with everything, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Welcome back to the Beaver Playbook. I'm Austin West, and seated next to me is my illustrious co-host, Brandon Patten. Brandon, how are we doing this afternoon?
You know, I'm not doing too bad. How are you doing, Austin?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. The weather's nice, and we're back here on the Beaver Playbook. And of course, we've got a great show, as always, for you today, as we start today's show talking about the Indoor Track American Rivers Conference Championships, which I will get into after an apology. So can I get this camera right here? Good. Perfect. So, last episode, we ranked the top 5 athletes on campus, and it was brought to my attention that I had made a horrible mistake. I didn't catch it, Brandon didn't catch it, nobody caught it. So an update has been made to the rankings because the true number 1 athlete on campus is above and away thrower Becca Simpson. Number 1, she's the only All-American we have on campus, earning the honors for 3 events in outdoor track and field and another in the indoor track and field season last year. She also continues to set and break her own records in all of her events as well, and so we apologize for completely leaving her out of the top spot. I'm not sure how I missed it, and I feel so dumb for missing it as well. As that will be the end of this, as we get into her season as well, and the rest of the competitors, as in the conference championship, Becca, like I said, tying and beating her own records. She tied her own school record in weight throw. She got 3rd. Great bunch of girls throwing here at that tournament as well with a school record 17.71. Again, that ties her own. And, I mean, she's great. She's obviously great. That's why she's number 1.
Everybody knows that too. Becca, she's her.
Yeah, pretty much. And she also got 2nd in the shot put. It's hard to say which one is more her event, though. She's so good at both, it's hard to say. And we really thought coming into this one she'd be above and away the number 1. But she's still got that Dubuque competitor that beats her out in shot put. It really came down. I was there at the event. Last throw, the Dubuque girl fouls her first 2 throws in shot put and then just launches the 3rd one to beat Becca on the last throw, which is tough, but it comes down to, we talked about it that weekend, it comes down to 1 throw, and that's really it.
Yep, it all takes that 1 throw to make your record and go.
Yeah, again, 2nd place for her in shot put, 3rd in weight throw, so she'll move on to the conference tournament. I'll do some more competing at Wartburg later on. Another placement, Jessica Sump, she got 3rd in the 60-meter hurdles, a 9.14 meter, her career best. And I can't think of a better time to hit a career best, honestly.
Nope, not at all.
And so, I mean, congrats to her as well. She also got 2nd in the women's long jump. So women's track and field kind of showing up last weekend. I mean,
yeah, they've been doing their thing, and hey, keep doing it.
Yeah. And then not a placement one, unfortunately, but Caden Sadler, shout out to him, beats a school record in the 3,000 meter run. 8 minutes, 49.6 seconds. Last record was set in 1998. So over a 2-decade-old record beaten here in the conference tournament. Unfortunately, I mean, it doesn't place, but still.
Yeah, congratulations to Caden on breaking that record. Obviously, it's been held for a long time, and hopefully, he can keep doing great things and keep our boys' team doing good.
And I believe we have another record on there as well.
Kyle Miller, he got 2nd all-time record in the mile with a time of 4 minutes, 22 seconds. And yeah, the team, they've set a lot of career highs and season highs. They keep doing their thing. They keep running hard, and yeah.
And that's all you can really ask. Like when you come to the conference tournament, you're like, all right, here we go. We got to be our best. And that's what a lot of people did. They were setting career highs. They were setting season highs. Like as long as you're seeing that progression building up to that final meet, really, I mean, you can't complain, really, can you?
Nope, just got to keep getting your times better, keep working on it, and go.
Another sport that came to an end this winter, men's and women's basketball seasons. As they came into this one, unfortunately, they were just short of the conference tournament, weren't able to compete in that. For the American Rivers Conference, it's going to be Loris on the women's sides representing us in the D3 tournament, and on the men's side, it'll be Coe College. But we'll start with women's basketball. Finished 6-18, their best record in a while since Coach Wells has been there. But they were 1-15 in conference. That final game of theirs, they lost it 68-59 to Central. And obviously we lose a couple, I believe 6 seniors from the basketball team, including Vanessa Hamlet, Lindsay Analt also stepping away from basketball. And so those two obviously big parts of that team. Thankfully, we have the young players of McKenna Cone and Danica DeMar is able to lead. But again, Emily Newton as well. A big leadership that was there for Coach Wells leaving.
Oh, yeah, and some of these seniors, they've been here since the start. You know, they've been with Coach Wells since the beginning. And, you know, it's going to be tough losing them, but it takes the young people to step up, and let's keep getting better and improving that record.
Which, like you said, they've been here since Coach Wells in the beginning. Coach Wells came here in 2019 when we got to campus as well. And it's just going to be, I feel like it's got to be a weird thing, even in his eyes, like, okay, this is my freshman class, the first class I recruited probably, and now they're seniors and they're gone. I'm losing their leadership, and now I got to rely on these young girls. What do you think is kind of going through his head as well?
You know, it takes having your people step up and having people step in that leadership role and taking over. So,
the unfortunate one, really, Lindsay Analt shooting just under 50% from the field, 90 for 183 from the field this season. Again, losing her is going to be a big deal. She was great at rebounding as well, had 128 total rebounds, tied for second on the team per game with 5.3 rebounds per game. I mean, and Vanessa Hamill's gone too. That's your two bigs right there to get rebounds gone, your top two leaders. And that's going to be a huge thing for him, I think, losing the season.
Yeah, it just takes the next recruiting class, get good freshmen to come in that can fill those roles and have a good season.
Yeah, and with, again, like I said, losing those 6 leaders is going to be really, really huge. We talked about them a lot this year, even on last episode. And like we talked about those young stars, they earned themselves honorable on all conference. So you can't complain about that by any means, because Danica DeMars and McKenna Cone, freshman, sophomore, get their first honorable all-conference honors. I mean, that's how you show that the young people are stepping up right there. Am I wrong?
You can't complain about getting those nominees, and yeah, best of luck.
And we only expect better things. Am I right?
Hey.
Again, like I said, 6 wins. It's the most since Coach Wells has been there. He was, again, hired in 2019. And I hate to be the guy that asked this question, but 4 years gone now, Coach Wells, 16 wins over 4 seasons. Granted, 2020 only had 9 games. So they went 2-7 that year. So only had 9 games. But do we start to see this is make or break year for Coach Wells?
So, you know, with Coach Wells, obviously we mentioned how he's gotten a lot better, or he's gotten better. He's improved his record as he's gone on. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we still haven't seen, you know, that dominant season. Obviously, that will come with time. But, you know, with McKenna Cone and Danica DeMars doing their thing, hopefully, you know, they can be bright for the future. And
that's one of the things, like, will he have enough time to be able to get that dominant season he wants? Again, losing those big seniors this year, this seemed like this was the year that if we were going to make a push, we were going to need to make a push. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that as well. But moving on to men real quick. Men finished 9-16, 2-14 in conference. Their final game, 74-72 over University of Wisconsin Stout. Zane Newbaum was named second team all-conference. He's 30 points shy of 1,000 career points as well. So that's something to look out for as well. Just something to watch.
Hopefully he gets that in his next game that he plays.
Honestly, first game back, 30 points right
nice.
Off the bat. Would it not be a shame?
Especially to get a win, too.
Huge win, season opener, 30 points, 1,000 career points. whoever's writing the script for college basketball next season needs to write this down. They need to get this going. But finally, we have our final winter update. We had two wrestlers perform well in the regional tournament as Garrett Bruce and Axel Hernandez made their way to the place winner spot, as it was great to see those two seniors do well. Again, Axel going through a lot of knee injuries throughout his career here. We thought maybe it'd be tough to get him back on the mat, but he was able to do it for regionals, as he would end up placing 8th for the wrestlers at regional. Again, to get to the national tournament, you got to be able to get, I believe it is top 3 advance on, or top 2. So places 8th, but again, that's his career best. He's never placed before at the tournament, so that was really huge to see for him. And then Garrett Bruce, 6th place at regionals, also his highest placement, hadn't placed before. So it was really fantastic to see both those guys do really, really well.
Yeah, good job to both of them. Obviously, the team, we didn't have as much success as we wanted to, but it happens.
Right. I mean, 3-13 in duels, 1-7 in conference duels. Not really the numbers you want to see, but when you see the sparks there, and wrestling's been one of those teams since even we've been here. You get those you have those really old guys that are fitting in there, and then you got all these freshmen that are starting to leak into the lineup, and that you have to have. And sometimes they're freshmen, like they're going against seniors sometimes, and it's hard to be like, okay, well, you got to go out and pin this senior. Good luck. And it's like, okay, sometimes you got to expect, like, the young guys, they're not going to get it right away. Yeah. Some have it, some don't right away. But that's something you have to be able to mature and be able to work through and just be able to have them develop. And those coaches over there, fantastic apps. Sean White and Diego Huerta, we trust a lot in those guys. We know Diego personally. We know he's pushing them over there as well. So something great to see as well. Well, I think the wrestlers will be in a good place. I believe they lose 4 seniors total this year. So it'll be interesting to see what the team looks like with a little bit of a shakeup coming into next season. But I think they'll be able to compete very well. Before we get into our next top headline, it's time for Guess the Player, one of my favorite segments that we have here on the Beaver Playbook. Today's Guess the Player is a junior men's soccer player from all the way back in 2012, which I know doesn't seem that far away, but it has been over a decade. Yeah, makes you feel old, doesn't it? This team went 5-12 during this athlete's 15 games played, but 0-7 in American Rivers Conference games. Now this athlete, offensive star for the Beavers, as even though he wasn't top 10 in minutes played, he led the team in goals scored with 6 on the season and was shooting 56% on the goal. Can't complain when it's over 50% at all.
Not at all.
He would also go on to score 14 total points, another team high. And so I'll let you guys have a second to think about who this might be. And I know this is before our time. Do you have any chance know any men's soccer players from 2012? He was a junior in this time as well.
I don't even know if I can name any professional soccer players from 2012, let alone a Beaver soccer
Cristiano
player.
Ronaldo? It's probably 2012, right?
Okay, sorry. But anyway, you know what I meant.
Yeah. But this player actually comes in as Tyler Lafferty, who, again, accomplished all of this in his junior season, not even a senior, and would go on to score 4 goals the following season with a 5-13 overall record and a 1-6 in American Rivers Conference play. Hopefully, some people were able to guess who our mystery player was, and if not, don't worry. It was a long time ago. It's 2012. I don't expect you to know 2012 soccer players. It was hard to even find stats on these guys. It was so long ago. And again, don't worry. There will be plenty of other athletes to guess as the Beaver Playbook continues. And we'll continue our headlines with the start of baseball and softball seasons. Spring sports, they're here. We're almost on spring break. It's great to see them. They'll be traveling for their spring break. They don't get to go on vacation like the rest of us. They have to go compete in tournaments all week long. Softball is headed to California. Baseball is headed to Florida. So, I mean, at least they're going someplace sunny.
Yeah, and opposite parts of the country, and yeah, they're enjoying it hopefully down there, and best of luck to them as, yeah.
I mean, yeah, so far, baseball came into this season. They were the coach's pick in the American Rivers Conference to win the conference, so that's high praise for them. They won it last year. Both teams actually won the regular season conference title last season. They opened their season with a 23-5 win against Hamlin University. Yeah, that's a baseball score, folks. That's not like a football score
That's
or something.
dominant.
That's dominant baseball is what that is right now. 5-1 is their current record. Can't complain about that. Calvin Harris, D3Baseball.com Team of the Week. I mean, what else can you say about this baseball team? They're on fire so far.
And they have been good for quite a while now, you know. Coach Edie, he's done a great thing with these guys, and hopefully, you know, they can pick it up, win another conference this year.
Coach Edie, another star in the commercial we saw earlier.
Yep.
Wanted to step in, was able to poke his head out from behind Buford in that one. And Coach Edie has been here as long as I can remember for BVU baseball, and they've been good because they won the conference title before we got here.
Yes.
They had an off year, and then they came back, and I believe they won it junior year. Well, it would have been last year and the year before. So I think they're on 2 straight, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe, I guess COVID year they probably didn't win one. So definitely looking to make it back-to-back, but 2 in the last 5 years is nothing to shake your head at by any means.
Yeah, you can't complain about that. You know, they've had success. Hopefully it can continue.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll look for that. Obviously, they're going to Florida for a week. We're only 6 games into the season. We don't want to overreact to anything. But if you were to make an overreaction right now, Brandon.
I mean, we haven't got into conference play yet.
Nope.
But, you know, they're doing their thing. Keep doing it.
So what do you think? Going off overreactions, 5-1 right now.
Think they're going to get it all this weekend or over spring break? I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
Sweep spring
yeah.
break
Oh,
tournament.
yeah.
Okay, I like it. I like it a
yeah.
lot. I think we'll definitely see some nice things out of them. I wouldn't imagine they do many splits, but I could see some splits in conference play. We've got some really good teams. Coe's pretty good. Dubuque usually ends up being a close one as well. Luther as well always fights us close. So it'll be interesting to see how those teams do, as well as Loras. Loras plays the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're usually pretty good. They head down to the Hawkeyes. They won last year, I believe. Not this year. They lost this year, though. So something to watch out for, of course, Loras Duhawks. And another thing to point out about the baseball team, they already have 8 home runs on the season. They've played 6 games. They have 8 home runs.
That is crazy. They're hitting dingers.
We love to see it. That's what brings fans.
Yes.
We want the dingers. That's what we want. We want home runs. And so hopefully we'll see a lot of those once they come back to Storm Lake to play some more. We'll see some out of the Parkers, maybe some in the Parkers. I wouldn't put it past them.
Don't count them out.
No, they've got some fast studs out there. The Mathewson twins, fast. Speed demons around the bases. So I'm excited to see them as well. Moving on to softball. Softball kind of on the other end of the spectrum. They've had a rough start, 2-6 so far. Again, going through some changes. Lost 6 seniors last year, going through a head coaching change as well. Again, it was an assistant that stepped up for them after Coach Mandy Nacita left, as she's over at the University of Nebraska now. And then they are, like we said, headed to California for spring break. But again, this is a good softball team. Again, they still lost those 6 seniors, but they still have a nice pieces that are in there. A super young freshman class coming in there. They've got a bunch of freshmen that are coming up and playing some minutes. And so it'll be interesting to see how they work out. But again, 2-6 is not really what we kind of expected going into this season.
Yeah, it's not an ideal start, but there's still a lot of season to go. You can still turn it around. You know, it takes getting used to new coaches, new players, you know. It just takes comfortability and, yeah.
I think that's one of those things, like chemistry is a huge thing. So once you're putting new people in there, I mean, we saw Carly Guyette, Savannah Pullman, all those guys play together for
Ashton Miller
4 years. They started for almost 4 years, I want to say, through with each other. Michaela Mason in there as well, a couple years, Alyssa Barnhart. And so they had that chemistry because they had played together for so long. Now that you're implementing new pieces, you got to rely on your leadership of Chloe Wells, Riley Kane, Natty Murillo. Those guys are really got to step up and be those leaders and kind of build that team chemistry while you're out on the field, because obviously when you got to get used to new players. Sometimes it's a whole different thing. And I mean, Ashton and Peyton Gross, the 2 main pitchers that we used last season, now gone. Now we're on Kennedy Claycomb now as the starting pitcher so far, and she's been successful so far. But again, it's a weird thing to go through that change.
Yeah, and that's with most college sports. You know, you lose your seniors, you got to start over, start fresh, and it takes that new class to come in, step up, and do their thing.
I mean, I know it's not fall, but relating back to football season, we had a lot of 5th-year guys for football last season, and it was almost a whole new offense, whole new defense by the time we came out here for this fall. So it's one of those things, you see it all the time. And again, we expect a lot from the softball team. Maybe we've been spoiled. We might have been spoiled for the past couple of years in both these sports. And so when it comes to these things, we're like, 2-6, what's going on? Everything's imploding. No, it's just the start of the season. They're 8 games in. We got to pump the brakes a little bit on those things and just be ready to go as we go on. And shooting for their home runs, Natty Murillo, the only home run so far on the season for them. Final sport of winter, dance and cheer. They had a very successful time. We got 2 all-conference dance selections. Kenna Castle and Libby Birdsell making the all-conference debut, both a freshman and a sophomore. So the Young Bucks stepping up in the dance room as well. You like to see that. And then they also were able to compete at Wow Factor Nationals as Stephanie Wrinkle got an individual runner-up there. And we got 1st through 3rd in group stunt. So we sent 3 groups. We got 1, 2, and 3. Nailed it, locked it down. And then they'll also have a tournament over spring break. Social media has been a growing effect in athletics over the past couple of years with the growth of fan accounts and Barstool sports accounts. And so joining us today to talk more about it is the owner of the BVU Barstool Twitter page, Brendan Barrera. Brendan, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad you guys asked me to come on here. It's great to be here.
So, yeah, can you kind of explain what a Barstool account is for the people that don't understand?
Well, it's something to, I guess it's for sports. So you shout out players, you smack talk is technically a term that you'd use against other Barstools. So, like, there's other Barstools within the ARC conference. And it's, back and forth going at it. It's to create hype for games, hype for teams. Sometimes you can't really get into the hype because some teams aren't doing good. Some teams are doing better, so you participate in more of the hype there, more smack talk. Something like that, a lot of memes, things like that.
And so what kind of goes into when you decide, well, I'm going to tweet today, or before this game, I'm going to tweet? What kind of goes through your head when you're deciding how you want to do that?
I guess seeing the type of, trying to get as much stuff into the games as possible, get students, celebrating a lot of things. I mean, there isn't really much of a thought process. It's just to come in and do the do, talk the talk, and I guess just that, to be honest.
And I got to ask, what has been one of your favorite things that you've tweeted out from the Barstool account? Obviously, that's appropriate for television.
Last year, Jake Thompson's free throw under, the granny throw, made it onto Iowa Chill, which that's a major thing.
Yes.
We have many posts that made it onto Iowa Chill. That, and then there was the couch that's in the bathroom here at BVU. That made it onto Iowa Chill also. Iowa Chill's probably one of the larger social media accounts here in Iowa, so.
Yeah, I mean, I personally know Iowa Chill because obviously I grew up in Iowa, so I'm very, very familiar with them. And speaking of growing up in Iowa, some reporters from small towns, this is mostly my area over in eastern Iowa, I've seen a lot of them calling out the high school Barstool accounts that we have out there. They've called them cowardly and that students should be supporting their teams in like a different way. And so I thought, how do you kind of feel about that kind of thing? Obviously, it's a different level from college to high school.
I don't think that. I mean, I know there's even articles over in Omaha of a school there that's done it, but I think Barstool is more for the older crowd. I mean, it's more college. There's a lot more freedom for doing what we're doing with the sports and what we can post. Create a high school. I just think it should belong to just college.
And so when it comes to having it belong to college and stuff, how does it kind of be passed on? Because obviously you're not affiliated with Barstool like the Division I schools like Iowa's Barstool account is. So what kind of goes through that in running an account like this?
I mean, I'm affiliated in ways. I'm followed by a lot of other Barstools, the Ohio State Barstool, also people from Barstool. So I do have that credibility there. But passing down, I have to find someone who's good at digital editing. I do a lot of digital editing on a lot of my posts, facial tracking, things like that. To create memes, edit pictures, I need to find someone to pass that down after this year since it's my senior year. It's been doing it for 2 years.
Well, Brendan, we appreciate you coming on and joining us to talk about the Barstool account. I know a lot of people maybe don't know what goes on behind the scenes with it. So again, we appreciate it. And now it's time to head over to the rankings board for today's special rankings. In today's rankings, we're showing off the top high schools represented by athletes here on our campus. Now, many schools have similar numbers of athletes here on campus, but there are 12 that stand alone. Obviously, we can't fit 12 schools on the screen, but thankfully, 9 of those schools are tied with 4 athletes each, including Storm Lake St. Mary's and Newell Fonda. Coming in at 3rd is Carlisle High School, just outside of Des Moines, Iowa, with 5 former Wildcat athletes. Feature athlete from Carlisle is senior cross-country and track runner John Floss. The runner-up in athletic representation at Buena Vista is a high school out of Nebraska, Papillion La Vista, as they have 6 alumni for the Monarchs competing for the Beavers, including our junior catcher, Grant Oseka. And finally, coming in at the top spot with the most athletes on campus, probably everyone's top guest, hosting over double as many athletes as second-place Papillion, with 14 athletic alumni, it's Storm Lake High School. This one includes young volleyball star for the Beavers, Skylar Cole. Fun fact, she's the daughter of Storm Lake Police Chief Chris Cole. Who would have thought the school less than 2 miles away would have the most athletes at Buena Vista? Unfortunately, neither Brandon's nor my school is represented here, so personal shout out to Brandon's Sioux Central Rebels and my Northland Lynx. We'll be back with one last thing right after this here on the Beaver Playbook.
Oh, hey, Jaden.
How's it going, Steven?
Oh, it's going pretty good. I'm just really hungry and really want to get to Lawas for lunch. But between all these recaps and other paperwork I have to do, I just don't know if I'm going to have time for it.
You usually get a steak burrito with everything, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Sure, it's been great having Buford around the office to help everyone out. Granted, there have been some minor issues. Like I said, he's been a great help.
Earlier, we talked about BVU Barstool, a not-so-anonymous Twitter account made to represent BVU students and fans. While this is mostly positive and never truly aimed at specific athletes, there has been a resurgence of a truly anonymous social media platform known as Yik Yak. This platform works based on location, allowing users in the area to see anonymous postings on a message board within a certain area. In this case, it would be contained to the Storm Lake area. While it doesn't always occur, athletes and athletic teams have become targeted following sporting events, usually losses. Some of these messages include, "Oh, 15-2. Never forget how bad soccer is and the disgrace they are to BVU." Another says, "Nice to know we are the worst at basketball in our conference." Obviously, this doesn't always happen, but when athletes go to Yik Yak after a loss and see posts personally demeaning them, this can begin to take a toll on an athlete's mental health. Student athletes are under incredible pressure, not from just the usual college life, but the pressure to perform for the fans. This pressure increases the already high percentage of 33% of college students that report suffering from some form of mental health conditions. Dealing with trolls and naysayers on social media is something that has increased over the years for many athletes. One study showed that over the span of a year, NBA superstar LeBron James received around 123,000 abusive messages. Even CJ Stroud, soon-to-be NFL draft pick from Ohio State, who turned off all social media during his competitive season, had his critics and haters Venmoing him money, also they could send him toxic messages. As fans, we have to understand many of these college athletes are still young. Heck, I've reached the age where NBA and NFL draft picks are now younger than me. So to those that still choose to specific target athletes, remember these are people too. They may be going through the same problems as all other college students. Abusive messages are bullying and harassment, plain and simple. Treat people with respect and remind yourself that they are the ones out there competing, not you. For myself, Brandon Patten, and the rest of the BVTV crew, this has been the Beaver Playbook. We'll see you next time.